In today's video, I'm sharing with you small ways I'm incorporating slow living in my life in 2024. Let's get right into it. I'm gonna start this video off by sharing some big picture type of reminders, some prompts, things like that. You can use these in whatever way works best for you. You can think about them, reflect on them, journal with them, whatever works for you. And I'm gonna be looking a little bit off the screen at my iPad, which has those reminders so I don't mess up what I'm trying to say. But the first thing I want to reiterate is to shift from survival mode into living with more intention. This is exactly the shift that I did. I was definitely in survival mode for most of my life, and I am slowly trying to transition into a place where I live with a lot of intention. Every single thing that I do is with intention, down to the most minute little things that you might think are not important. Reminder, those little things are super important. So that's what we're trying to do here, and here are the prompts that you can use to kind of get you into that headspace, into that mindset. The first thing is, what brings you joy individually? How can you fill more of your life with that? Next, how can you simplify your day-to-day to make space for the things that bring you joy? You'll start to notice that these prompts kind of overlap, and that's on purpose because they're kind of guiding you from one to the other, if that makes sense. And then the next question is, or prompt, are you setting and maintaining necessary boundaries so you can focus on curating the life that you want? So these are loaded questions. They're definitely questions that you can't answer on the spot. I definitely want you to think about them. It's gonna require a little bit of thinking, so definitely think about them after you watch this video. But we're gonna go into my list of things that I'm gonna be slowing down with in 2024. A lot of these things are repeats of what you might have heard in my 2024 goals type of video that I posted. I believe that was last week, but there are other things, so don't you worry. The first thing that I have on this list is low intensive but indulgent morning and evening routines. You all know I love my routines. I love my morning routines. I love my evening routines, and they don't need to be super extensive. I think that's the point that I'm getting at here. While they can be indulgent, and indulgent in the sense of doing things that really make you happy, they don't need to be super extensive. I know there are a lot of jokes online where people are like, I need to have my 5-hour morning routine. And while I think those jokes are hilarious and I kind of resonate with them sometimes, it doesn't need to be all that. And I know realistically speaking, it cannot be all that. But as you have seen in so many of my morning vlogs, my mornings, although they are slow, they're not super long. Sometimes I'm just making breakfast, I'm not looking at my phone, reading for 10 minutes, checking my journal, and that's pretty much it. And that is pretty much it, more or less. So it can be as simple as that. And I do have a bunch of blog posts about routines 101, how to stick to a routine, and ideas for your morning routine. So if you want to check those out, I will link them down in the description box for you. The next thing that I have is hobbies. So I've talked a lot about this. I'm not going to get too deep into this conversation here, but the hobbies that I really want to focus on this year are painting, reading, and gaming. You all know I'm really getting back into the whole painting thing, and I think it's one of the more indulgent hobbies of these three that I mentioned. It's something that you really need to kind of dedicate a lot of time to, and I'm all for it this year. I really want to dedicate a lot of time to it, so I'm gonna try and do that as much as I can, whether that's through sketching every week, painting, actually painting pieces, and anything of the sort, learning about painting, going to places to learn about painting, such as museums and such, classes, whatever it may be. Reading, you all know I try to read at least 10 minutes every single morning, so that's just ingrained in my morning routine. And then gaming. I really want to embrace gaming this year because I have a lot of devices that I can use to game. For example, I have the PlayStation 5, I have my Nintendo Switch, I have the Steam Deck now. Really enjoying the Steam Deck experience. So I just want to use those devices to their best ability, if that makes sense, and just have fun with it. And Ian is very supportive because he's a big gamer as well, so he likes to kind of have quality time together where we are both gaming. So I just want to do more of that. I think it will be very fulfilling as a whole, not just for me, but you know, in my relationship as well. Okay, the next thing on my list is getting outside. So specifically going on more hikes, going on more walks. You all know I am very close to a very large park or reservation, and so I have access to, you know, walking trails, hiking trails, stuff like that, and I want to embrace that more. I want to go to other parks that are in my area. There are a lot, actually. That's one thing that I love about living in New Jersey. There are so many parks and places for people to embrace nature and get outside and stuff. So I want to do a lot more of that. I think that will happen a lot more in the warmer seasons, even though we still absolutely love doing it in the cold seasons as well. But I feel like a more daily routine will happen in the warmer seasons because it is brighter for longer. So after work, we'll be able to go out for an extensive period of time. Whereas right now, when we finish work and the sun sets really early, some or many parks close. So it just works out that way. Okay, in the same realm of getting outside, gardening. You all know this is a repeat from the video where I talked about like my 2024 goals, but I want to be outside gardening a lot this year. I spent so much time on it last year, and I just want to up my game this year, especially now that everything is set in place. I won't get too redundant. I know I talked about that already, but these are just all things that I feel like will help me slow down and really focus on the activity at hand and life at that very moment, and not just constantly thinking about the future or working on something or preparing for something for the future or like big, huge goals. Sometimes I just want to work on a small, physical, I can hold it in my hands type of goal, and you'll start to, I mean, you're not starting to, but you'll see that everything that I've mentioned thus far is very much that. So gardening is definitely inclusive there. And then the last thing that I have on my list is, once again, something that you can feel and touch, fully immersing in in-person experiences. I think we've spent so many years, I hear one of those cats coming and they're gonna definitely jump on the table, but I feel like over the past few years, in-person experiences have been difficult. And last year, at the latter half of last year, I really started to embrace, you know, going outside and going to places, for example, museums and some restaurants, outdoor dining and stuff like that. And I just want to do more of that this year. Not necessarily to make up for lost time over the past few years. I know, there he goes. I know a lot of people look at it in that way, and I don't think that, you know, the past few years was lost time. I did so much monumental amount of things in the past few years that weren't necessarily in-person experiences, and it was still a full, valid, and content life. I just want to embrace that this year because I had such a good experience with it in the latter half of last year, and now that I'm able to, I can really fully immerse and experience New Jersey because I moved to New Jersey during a time where people were not out and about, and now I can be out and about. So I want to discover more about where I live now that I live in New Jersey. I've only ever known New York City, so I want to know more about New Jersey and love the New Jersey life, if that makes sense, and be more involved in my community, be more involved with the people that contribute to this community, small businesses and things like that. So just want to do more of that. As you can tell, all of these things are kind of hands-on. You can really touch and feel them and focus on them as opposed to something that's a little bit more larger picture. But I do want to just reiterate that these things are all interconnected when it comes to slow living. These small things, while it can just be as simple as, oh, I'm playing a video game, it is contributing to my overall joy because it is something that brings me individual joy. And me focusing more on those little things that bring me individual joy will contribute to my overall joy, to my overall attitude, to my overall positivity, and the way that I approach life, the way that I socialize, things like that. So when people try to tell you that little things don't matter, I'm here to reiterate, they matter so much. And don't overlook those little things that bring you a lot of joy. I hope this is like the biggest takeaway here. Focus on the things that bring you joy, even if they are super small. Let me know if any of these items on my list resonate with you, or if you have any things that you want to incorporate in 2024 when it comes to slow living. I am excited for a 2024 full of fun and little things. I'm looking forward to having my life be a little bit more enriched in that way. Right, Logan? Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you in next week's video.